In this video, we're learning about the Pythagorean Theorem. And the Pythagorean Theorem is this formula up top that says a squared plus b squared is equal to c squared. And what's really important to know about this formula is that you can only use it for right triangles, and it helps us solve for the side lengths of right triangles. So it has nothing to do with the angles in the triangle, and you can only use it for right triangles. So now let me explain to you guys how this formula works. So in the formula, we have a squared plus b squared is equal to c squared. So what we need to understand first is what a, b, and c represent. So a and b represent the two legs of the triangle. They represent the two sides that form the right angle. So in this triangle, let's say this side is a and this side is b. And you could make the vertical side b and the horizontal side a in this case. It doesn't really matter which leg is a and which leg is b. You just have to know that a and b are the two sides that form the right angle. And now C is what's called the hypotenuse, and it's always across from the right angle, and it's diagonal, and it is the longest side in the triangle. So now what we want to do is plug our given values into our formula. And what I like to start by doing is just rewriting my formula underneath the problem. So I'm going to have a squared plus b squared is equal to c squared. And now I'm going to plug in my values. So I know that a is 3 inches. So I'm going to say 3 squared plus, I know b is 4 inches, plus 4 squared is equal to, c is what we're solving for, it's our x value, so I'm going to say this is equal to x squared. And now I just need to solve this equation. So 3 squared, or 3 times 3, is 9. 4 squared is 16, and this is equal to x squared. I'm going to add 9 and 16 to get 25. So I get 25 is equal to x squared. And now to solve for x, we're going to take the square root of both sides. Because we're solving for a length, it has to be positive. So we're left with x on the right side, and the positive square root of 25 is 5. So we get that x is equal to 5 inches. Let's take a look at example 2, which is similar. So again, they gave us the two legs, and we're solving for the hypotenuse, and I'm going to color code our triangle. So let's say that this bottom side is a this time, just to show you guys that you can make either leg a. And then we'll say this right side is b, and our hypotenuse is always the diagonal one. So this is our hypotenuse, or our c value. I'm going to start by rewriting our equation. So a squared plus b squared is equal to c squared. And now I'm going to plug in our values. So I know that a is 10, so I'm going to say 10 squared plus our b value is 6, so plus 6 squared is equal to our c value, which is what we're solving for, so x squared. And now I want to solve this equation. So 10 squared is 100, 6 squared is 36, and this is equal to x squared. 100 plus 36 is 136, and this is equal to x squared. And now to solve for x, I want to take the square root of both sides. So I'm left with an x on the right side, and we just have the square root of 136 on the left side. 136 doesn't have a nice square root, so if your teacher lets you, you can put that into a calculator and round it into a decimal. I'm going to show you guys how we can simplify this square root in case you guys need to write your answers in simplified radical form. So I'm going to say x equals the square root of 136. And remember, when we're simplifying square roots, we need to think of a perfect square that goes into the number under the root. So 4 goes into 136 evenly. So we can rewrite this as x equals the square root of 4, and 4 times 34 is 136. So the square root of 4 times the square root of 34. And now we know the square root of 4 is 2. So this is the same as 2 times the square root of 34, and we know our units are feet. So we get that x is equal to 2 root 34 feet. Let's take a look at 2 more examples. So if we look at example 3, this time we're given one leg and the hypotenuse, and we're trying to solve for the other leg. So I'm going to start by color coding our triangle. So I'm going to say this left side is A, I'll say the bottom leg is B, and our hypotenuse is over here, so that's our C value. And now I'm going to start by rewriting our formula. So I know that a squared plus b squared is equal to c squared. And now I want to plug in the values based on the diagram. So I know that a is 5, so I'm going to say 5 squared plus, this time we're solving for b, so we're going to put x in there. So x squared is equal to our c value of 13 squared. And now I want to solve this equation. So 5 times 5 is 25, plus x squared is equal to 13 squared is 169. And now to solve for x, I first have to subtract 25 from both sides of my equation. On the left side, the 25 and negative 25 cancel out. I'm left with x squared. On the right side, 169 minus 25 is going to give me 144. And now I'm going to take the square root of both sides, and I get that x is equal to 12 centimeters. Moving on to our last example, again, we are given the hypotenuse and one of the legs, and we have to solve for the other leg. So let's say this side is A, we'll say this side is B, and C is always our hypotenuse, so this is C. So let's first start by rewriting our formula. So we have a squared plus b squared is equal to c squared. And now we're going to plug in the values they gave us. So we know that a is 9, so we're going to say 9 squared plus b squared is what we're solving for, so that's our x. So x squared is equal to c squared. And our c this time is the square root of 97. So the square root of 97 squared. And now we need to solve for x. So 9 squared is 81. So we have 81 plus x squared is equal to, and now when we square a square root, squaring and square rooting are inverse operations, so they cancel each other out. So when we square the square root of 97, we're just left with 97. And now we want to solve for x squared, so we're going to subtract 81 from both sides of our equation. On the left, they cancel out. I'll write it up here. We're left with x squared. And on the right, 97 minus 81 is going to give us 16. And finally, take the square root of both sides. On the left, we're left with x, and on the right, the square root of 16 is 4, and our units are meters, so we get 4 meters. So hopefully this video helped you guys understand the Pythagorean theorem a little bit better. If you want more practice problems, check out the link in our description for a free worksheet.